All right, sports fans, what is up? We are back for another episode of The Fan in the End. I'm your host, as always, Steven Rychel. Got a full house with us here this morning. Obviously, the normal shenanigans will be here. We have Mr. Marvin Powell the third right underneath me. The big man himself, Mister Ben Troupe, always giving us the inciting words. And our guest for this morning is Mr. Mark Pattison. He is a former NFL veteran. He's also has had quite a life after his NFL career, as he has been to all 7 summits. Got mountain climbing in his back pocket. He's also a motivational speaker. And I also seen you work with Sports Illustrated as well.
Yeah, been running Sports Illustrated the last 10 years.
So you dab in a little bit of everything. So definitely wanted to get you on here, pick your brain, have some fun with the with my friends here, Marvin and Ben. So
you can't forget my Emmy win either.
Wow.
Listen, when you got the hardware like that, man,
that's
congratulations
right there.
Yeah, man, that's not a thing to turn your nose up. So how proud of a moment were you of that when you got nominated and win, you win an Emmy? It's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, well, Marvin and others know about this, but NFL Films, there's nobody better that tells a great story and really digs into the storytelling of that. And I got a call on early 2021, in January 2021, and I was headed off to Mount Everest that late March, early April. And they said, hey, we want to document, your journey up the mountain. And at the time, it was just going to be a super short one. And for them, super short means 3 to 5 minutes. And every single time they flew over here, they flew a crew. It just kept getting deeper and deeper and deeper into this whole story. And there was a whole nother layer behind it about what was really going on and about my motivation to get to the top of the world. And so the 3 to 5 minutes ultimately became a 30-minute doc, which is their full segment, the way they like to do things based on commercials and everything else they squeeze in there. And then I had no clue that I don't know anything about the Emmy world. I don't know anything about movie making. I don't know any of this stuff. But this movie came out and it was great, and we were able to show it around the country and do fundraisers and things like that, and move that money towards certain causes that I was passionate about. But I got a call in May of 2022 and said, hey, just heads up that your film got nominated. It's called Searching for the Summit, for not only best cinematography but best picture. And I go, you got to be kidding. So I weighed back and forth whether or not I should fly back to New York and go to Lincoln Center and get decked out in a tux and be with all the people on the red carpet. And I went through with it. I flew back there and I was sitting kind of on my own because the place was a packed house, and this is post-COVID. And we got to the best cinematography. And the thing that was cool about that is that I shot most of the stuff up on Mount Everest because NFL security didn't allow the filming crew from the NFL to fly to Nepal because there was another outbreak of COVID. But we did win. So I didn't win on that category, but we won the mother of all prizes, which is Best Picture. And so to be up there and standing in front of, my colleagues, Mike Tirico handing me off the Emmy, the trophy, and it's just literally out of body experience to actually have been part of this, never imagining things. But I think it's also a whole point about when you do things for the right reasons, that other things can trickle out of that. Not, I'm going after, I'm an actor because I want to win an award. In my case, I was a mountain climber. I am who I am. I'm very passionate about it. But, nowhere in my brain cells did I think that, I could ever win a Emmy award just climbing a mountain. But I did.
Marvin?
Yeah. So when you talk about Mount Everest and then the Emmy, I don't know what's more impressive, climbing that mountain or getting the Emmy. First of all, what kind of preparation did you have to do for that? How long did it take you to get there? And when you got to the top of that mountain, could you breathe? Did you have an oxygen mask? Like, what's that experience like?
Yeah, all super great questions right there. And the one thing that a lot of people don't know is that, I've been climbing for a long time. When you start talking about the 7 summits, it's the 7 highest peaks on each continent. We have 7 continents. So I've literally been all the way around the world in every continent. I've climbed in Russia, I've climbed Antarctica, all these other places. And so, what you do if you're going to go after that goal is you got to lead up to that. I also moved to Sun Valley, Idaho, which is where I'm broadcasting today from, and we live at 6,000 feet. If you guys are in Philly, I know Steve is, you're at 0 feet. I'm at 6,000. So I'm a mile plus, even higher than Denver, where you play the Broncos. And so I put in 150,000 vertical feet of climbing before I went to Mount Everest in 2021. I was supposed to go in 2020, but COVID shut down the world. I upped my goal in 2021. And not only my goal was to go climb Mount Everest, but then come back down, jump in my tent for a couple hours. And it's kind of like a camelback. And there's a saddle at 26,500, which is where our high camp is. And you can climb Lhotse, which is the 4th highest mountain in the world. So my goal was to go do that and to go do the other one. So I really doubled down on my commitment just to keep myself super motivated. But, it is a bitch and it is tough. And it's probably the hardest thing that I've ever done. And not only are you, imagine, training like normally for a football camp, but now you've got a bag over your head because the oxygen is a third less and it is straight up. I've never been up stuff that is so steep and unrelenting. Going through the Kuma icefall and having gigantic 30-foot ice blocks fall down left and right and dodging these things as you're going up and down. And, to get to the top, you have to go up and come back down and you're acclimating. You're trying to build more red blood cells because that carries more oxygen around your body. And you're living for 2 months on ice and rock, at 17,500 feet. Think about that. And so you're up there and you're going up and you're going down and you're going up and you're down and eating shit food. And, throughout this whole period of time, I end up losing 35 pounds. So now I get to summit day 2 months later, and now we're going for it. And I hadn't eaten in 3 days because at 23,500 feet, which is the camp below, I'd been in a cyclone. So I was stuck in my tent for 3 days and, ate very, very little. And what you are eating is freeze-dried food because you can only bring so much stuff up. So it's just packaged stuff. You just got to heat some water from the snow, pour it on like sawdust, and then eat that. And my system just did not handle it very well. And then, on summit day, and I've got a book that's about to come out called Finding Your Summit. I'll show you a little promo right there. But, I really go into a lot of detail about, on summit day, I got snowblind because when I got on my tent late at night, it's pitch black and it was blowing 40, 50 miles per hour and all these ice pellets because you're so high up, 26,500 feet. You're going up to 29,029. It was blowing so hard, it just ripped my whole face apart. And so now, I haven't eaten in a couple of days. You're supposed to be at your best when your best is required. And I'm at my worst where my best is required. John Wooden, old quote there. And, it was just a battle. It was a battle. And so now going to your question about what was it like when I got to the top, it was the worst day of my life. And the reason why that is because after stepping over dead bodies, and one of them was my tent mate from Antarctica, now I'm sitting on the top. I've got no energy. It's taken me 10 hours to get up there. And now I got to turn around. I have to go back down. And this is where most of the people die. And they die because you have to be clipped on. I'm looking 8,000 feet down at Tibet on this side and 8,000 feet down on this side, and that's Nepal. And I'm stepping over dead people. And I've got no energy, and your concentration really starts to wane. And so trying to get off the mountain was a whole nother thing. But, it was a bear and it was a bitch. And, it just took a ton of grit and determination. And, I would say I really, it's kind of a point in time in my life where I saw the higher being where I sat in the snow. I didn't know how I was going to get back down. My Sherpa had taken off on me. I'd run out of oxygen. And I was trying to figure out how the hell I was going to get out this mountain. It was tough.
Sounds like so you're stepping over dead bodies, and you're saying that the worst of it is when you come downhill.
Yeah, it's down just because you're so I was so driven to get to the top, but now you're starting to relax a little bit, and you've been at this for so long, and you're only halfway. It's like going a 26-mile marathon and you've only got to, mile 13. You still got a long way to go. Yeah. That was the tough part for me.
So I imagine you say that your assistant had a tough time, and I'm imagining you had a full crew. I don't know how many people were with you initially.
Well,
versus how many finished.
Yeah, I mean, there was 24 that originally started with us in our particular group, and there's another whole. I mean, it's a big thing. You know, there's all the Sherpas, and there's the cooks, and there's the people that carry stuff up and down, and all that kind of stuff. But when I went to the top, once I was by myself most of the time until I got to Camp 4, which is 26,500 feet. You know, at that point, there was a Sherpa that was assigned to me. Mm-hmm. Once he got to me to the top, as far as his concerned, his job is over. So he more or less booked out on me. And so I was up there pretty much left alone to get the hell off the mountain and figure my way back down. And, you know, it was just trials and tribulations. And, you know, I've never actually had my all 10 toes get to the edge where I'm sitting there going, I don't know if I'm going to make it. Now, I'll tell you this, too. When I'm coming down about 27,000 feet, you know, I'm looking up at Lhotse, I'm going, I know this for a fact. If I go and I take that on, you know, once I get down and try to go back up like I've been training for, I will die. It's certain that I will die. I mean, I'm already at kind of that point right now, but to actually get back down there and try to take that on, I knew that would be the end of me.
Do you have cell phone capabilities at that level? I mean, is there any digital anything at all at that point? Any technology? Is it just you?
There's a. Well, it's the answer is there's a device through Garmin that you can map up with your cell phone, and you can turn both things on, and they communicate in this Garmin every 10 minutes. It's called an InReach Mini, and it will send signals to satellites, and then people can ultimately get. But I can also tell you that a cell phone at 29,000 feet and it's minus 30 degrees. Yeah. Cell phones and batteries and coldness don't go well together.
So Mark, if it goes down, there's no 911, there's no rescue helicopter, there's none of that.
Rescue helicopters can only get up to about, maybe on the best possible circumstance day, get up to 21,500. But for the most part, 19,000 is about as high as they can go.
I'll tell you what, you earned that Emmy, Mark. You earned that. You earned that. I mean,
yeah.
Wow.
Ben, what about you? What do you got for Mark?
I mean, I gotta ask this. I mean, Mark, are you a George Clooney fan?
Am I a what fan?
George Clooney.
I don't think I know who that is. Who is that?
You know who George Clooney is?
Oh, George Clooney?
George Clooney, yes.
Yeah, I know George Clooney. Yeah. I'm sorry.
You know, like Steve. You know Steve Carell from the Office.
Yeah.
They never won an Emmy.
I got to tell you this. I'm sitting in like this. Every major star, Bob Costas. I mean, you just go all the way down, and every major television sports anchor personality that you've ever known, and they're up there and they're collecting awards. And you know, there's certain people who I can't remember who they were right now, but they're famous and they're like, they've been nominated 7 times. They go, oh my God, I've been nominated 7 times. And I finally got to win. I'm so grateful. And this and that. And this is all what they do, right? They do this. They're in that arena. They're on that platform. And at the end, you know, it's rewarded by the industry to do this, not only in sports journalism, but also, of course, you know, in television series, like you're saying, you know, The Office and things like that. And at the end of the day, it's almost like I'm not deserving only in the way that these guys, that's what their craft is. That's what they go after. But to me, it's the biggest lesson when you do things for the right reasons and you're passionate about it, you know, amazing things can follow.
Yeah, but I read that 322 people have died trying to climb Mount Everest. These are people with no cell phones. They don't got no film crew. They're not trying to, and they died. You have just proved that football players are the greatest athletes of all time. There is no other, because you know, you hear this, who's the greatest? Well, number one. Not only the NFL films say, hey, Mark, just get us some footage. You're like, I got it. I mean, you talk about white blood cells, red, all these different things. I got to keep my I'm losing all this weight. How crazy did it get up there though, Mark? Like we know you did it. Like and the greatest validation is the Emmy. At what point did you say, dude, I don't know if I should have did this? Like, I want to climb this thing, but I'm trying to get footage. At what point did you say to yourself, yeah, I'm going to do it, but this is crazy up here?
You know, I think this has fallen into like other things I've done. I've started 2 venture-backed companies, and And, I've been able to have amazing success with Sports Illustrated but life has not always been like everything is a box of roses or cherries or chocolates or whatever. It's just like I've had a lot of down moments too, right? And it's that fighting to come back. And what I found over time is that my best quality is I've never quit. I'm the last guy standing when that ship is going down. And I've also learned that that's my best quality. That's my worst quality. And I'm not sure what it was on that certain day when I was at Kent State. Let me tell you, when I got back down, so now I'm back so somehow or another, I made it back down, right? And so now I had come back down and I'm crawling back in my tent about 6 p.m. And I run out of oxygen. I got a new tank. And now that lasts me till about 9 o'clock that night, right? And so now our lead Sherpa comes in and sticks his head out, his head in our tent. And he was like, hey, how are you guys doing? I go, I ran out of O's again, man. I'm at 26.5. Most people die up there without breathing oxygen, right, at that time. And so he goes, hey, sorry, we're out of O's, which they weren't, but that's what he said. And so I didn't have another tank. He just go, you're going to have to just like figure it out. So there's another gal that was inside that tent with me who had come down. And she goes, I swear to God, like 30 yards away, there was a cache of tanks and you can run over there. And so in the middle of the night, now this is at like 1 o'clock in the morning and the storm had come back down. So it's blowing about 50 miles per hour, hardcore snowstorm, ice pellets, everything. And when I got into my sleeping bag, one of the tricks that we do is you take off your socks because they're wet, and your body heat, when you tie your sleeping bag up to your neck, it warms everything else up inside, the sleeping bag. So when you take your socks off, theoretically they're all going to dry out. So I was just like, if it's only like 30 yards ish over, I'm just going to dash out there in my bare feet and come back. Well, I dashed out there and there's no tanks, right? I'm in my bare feet at 26,500 feet in a blizzard, probably 30 degrees below zero. And now I turn around and the whole, 26.5, all the tents look like a war zone. They'd been beaten down because most of the time of the year, the jet stream sits on top. So it blows like 250 miles per hour. And so that comes up and it comes down. It goes up and it comes down. That's why there's these little gaps when you can go for it. Well, the storm had to come back down on us. And so I'm out there in bare feet running around trying to find out of my mind. And so I can't find my way back. I have no idea where our tent is because they're all scattered all over the place and half of them are dead. I had a guy 6 feet from my tent dead. He was laying in there. He died 10 days before that. And so now I'm looking around, and fortunately, like 5 minutes after, when I'm out there wandering around trying to figure it out, this gal, her name was Koki, was worried about me. So she had zipped down her tent just a little bit, and she had her headlamp on. I could see her headlamp shining out from the tent. I go, there it is. So I run back to the tent. But, you get hypoxic and you start to lose your brain. You're not functioning on full strength. You think you are, but you're not. And, it was scary. And it's just one of those things I'm super grateful that I survived.
That sounds like a.
You walk by a dead body. I mean, that's a dead guy right there. He died 10 days ago. Yeah. But I'm trying to find this tank.
Yeah.
Like, how many dead bodies did you walk by?
There's quite a few laying around up there,
Oh, my goodness. So people can't get up there to get them. They die and they can't get up there to get them.
It is so steep up there. And, I don't mean to be flip when I say this, but, when I say dead weight, it's literally dead weight, right? If you were just to stay there and people are heavy and they've got all their stuff on and you're trying to drag them off the mountain, you're endangering your own life. And so, it's just a tough, brutal place to be. And you got to have a mindset. I mean, it's like, when you're out there trying to make an NFL team, that mindset that you have, there's nothing that other guy across me is not going to beat me. I'm going to beat him. I'm going to do whatever it takes to make sure that I win on whatever that is, bull rushing, trying to catch the football, defend the ball, whatever it is. And you have to have that same mentality, no quit. And let me tell you about this. There's a lot of people, and this is the big problem, is those 322 people you were just talking about, Ben. And part of the problem is, it's not trivial to go up there, the kind of money you got to spend to make that work, right? And too many people, like, they train on a Stairmaster and they don't go through all the hardships and everything else and really test their mind and their soul and their body. And when they get up there and shit happens, and this is during that 2 months, there was a number of people. By the way, you asked a question which I didn't answer. We started with 24 and we ended up 11 made it up to Camp 4, and of the 11, 10 of us made it. So you can see more than half, did not make it. But there's a number of guys too who were, some loaded guys from the East Coast and other places, Singapore and this place and that place. And they were like, F this, man. I don't need this shit. You're telling me in 24 hours I can be back in New York City having a steak? Like, I'm out of here. I'm not doing this. And they quit because, hard things are hard. And that's what it is.
If the price for an Emmy is you climbing Mount Everest and surviving it, what are your thoughts on what's next? Like, what's the next? Because you know how hard it is to get that Emmy and what you have to do to get it. I mean, how do you come back for the next project, knowing what it's going to take for you to be to have a top film, top project, to be awarded the way you were with this Emmy? How do you come back from that for round 2? What motivates you, and what do you think about?
Well, look, I'm driven by the process, and that's right. I think, when John Wooden, when his Pyramid of Success, he talks about the competitive greatness. That's and the ultimate example of this is Michael Jordan, right? He didn't care about the ring. Well, he did care about the rings, but he cared about the competitive greatness. Was loving the process to get to that ultimate, championship and win those different rings. Mm-hmm. And I think that was a symbol of all the hard work. The first guy in the gym, the last guy to leave. All that type of thing. I'm out there. I climb every single day. So first of all, I don't do things for any prize. I do things for the passion, the love of the game, right? So I'm here in Sun Valley. Sun Valley is a ski town. It's a ski resort here in America, in North America. And every day I go out and I climb every single flipping day. And since then, I've done the Matterhorn, which we haven't seen that. That is scary as shit, right? Rock straight up in Zermatt, Switzerland. I've been on the Eiger, climbed Mount Blanc. I've been on Cotopaxi. I've climbed Mount Rainier. I've done the Grand Teton. I just got back from the Dolomites in northern Italy. So I continue to find new goals that I can set. And what drives me towards that goal is that daily practice of going out and trying to see how I can improve, and I can improve, and I can improve. And look, none of us are getting any younger. So it's how can I defy my age as I continue to progress in life. And I can care less if I get another. It's not even what I do, right? So it's just really like, what is my next big goal?
No, I hear you, man. So when you came back off that mountain, how long did it take you to recover and to get back to like where you are right now?
I would say it, like all these times when I get back, I usually get right into it. But, one of the things I had a hard time with is like, if we're having this conversation right now, like there was a moment in time where I'm at 27.5. I've got no O's. I can see, it's called the balcony. I can see down to 26. I'm 1,000 feet above our camp. I'm by myself. I've run out of oxygen. I'm sitting on my ass. I've been climbing most of the way all by myself. And I don't know how I'm going to get back. Right. And so there's this moment in time where there's a Russian. Well, first of all, I was the last guy off the mountain. Mm-hmm. I didn't pass anybody coming down. And now out of nowhere, there's a Russian guy that comes up to me and I'm like this and tapping on the back of my backpack. And there's a regulator with a tank and I can't breathe. And I didn't even have enough energy to like take my backpack off, swing it around, look at it. I was just going like this. And he looks at me, he goes, Nushki, right? Which I guess in Russian meant nothing. Mm-hmm. And so I was pointing at my Sherpa, which is 200-300 yards down the mountain from me. I was going, tell him to stop, right? I was like hand singling and like this, stop, tank, all this stuff. And so off he goes, reflecting back on that moment in time, seeing all the dead bodies, facing my own mortality, and knowing that I was all 10 toes were right on the edge. I believe that that was an angel that came from me that was encouraged me to keep going because that gave me some encouragement at that moment in time when I needed it. What most people do at that point when they sit their ass down, it's so easy just to lay back and go, I'm going to take 5 minutes rest, and then you drift off and you never wake back up. And that's how many of those guys die.
Wow. And for context, for us who played football, you played in an era where they had 2-a-days in training camp. Now they do one practice a day. How do you compare your toughest 2-a-day training camp No, seriously, to what you just did, because I feel pretty tough going through a few training camps. You know what I'm saying? But what you're talking about is a whole nother level. How do they compare in regards to this difficulty?
Well, I mean, like I can't even imagine going through a one a day and in sweats, right, where they hardly hit, and then they have all these protocols and all this kind of stuff today. Going back then, there was 6 weeks of 2 a days. I mean, it was just a burner, and just you had to figure out how to endure the punishment, the training. And as a receiver, I'd run 10 miles a day, easy, right? Just back and forth and all the routes and all that kind of stuff. But the one thing at the end of the day, as tired as you would get, for the most part, unless some freak accident happened and some player on the team had some respiratory, something, and it never happened to me ever in all my college growing up, in the NFL. But people aren't going to die, right? And it's just real. And there's not all these, every single day when I was on Mount Everest, there was an avalanche more or less coming at me, right? And so how do you stay out of the way of that? And how do you, a lot of it's just luck. Yeah, and going up and down. And I was on the mountain. I was coming down my first rotation. I was coming back down. I was wearing this really heavy pack, and I was going down this ladder. And the whole thing was kind of crawl down into this crevasse and then climb back out of it. And it's about a 20-foot ladder. It looked just like the one you get at the Ace Hardware store, right? They'd wrapped it together, and so they extended 20 feet. And I was going down. It was about my third rung. I've got crampons on my boots down below. And all of a sudden, my pack pulled me back, and I fell backwards 20 feet down, hit. I went down the run, and smashed my head, ripped up my back. I've still got issues from that today. But again, you're not going through. You don't have ice blocks falling on you. You don't have avalanches. You're not going through crevasses. You don't have a third less oxygen. When you're playing. I mean, think like when we were playing beyond the 2 a days or 1 a day or whatever it is. You weren't practicing with a bag over your head, right? At least you could, you've got, if you're playing in Denver, obviously it's a little tougher than if you're playing in New Orleans or something. But I mean that's the main difference. You're not going to die.
What do you? So knowing what you're up against and there are bodies on the ground, literally, what do you tell your family before the trip? Before you go on this journey, like. Do you have a dinner? Like this could be the last supper. Like what are you telling your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your best friends, your significant other? Like, is there a real conversation that has to be had at that point before you go on the journey?
The answer is yes. I want to go back to, again, another question I didn't finish answering, but every single time I talk about this stuff, like we're talking about it right now and trying to get off and all that kind of stuff, I would just break down. Like the PTSD, like you asked the question, like how long did it take my body? I was kind of back on it, as soon as I could. And it took me a month, before I was starting to get some of my weight back and everything. 35 pounds for me as a receiver. I'm still pretty, slender. Yeah. There's a lot of weight, right? It's weight I don't have to give. But I would emotionally just fall apart. When I was going there before about, all the danger, I just didn't really talk about it and I played it down, but I did have to get all my affairs in order, my insurance policy, my will, and all that kind of stuff. And that's hard, man. When my best friend is Jim Mora, who's head coach at UConn right now, NFL coach. And I gave him, this packet, and it just said, these are all the passwords, and this is this, and this is that. And if I come back, I need you to take over. So, I mean, that's our conversation.
That's crazy, brother.
You just listen. Just listen to this stuff, Mark. Number one, man, I appreciate your honesty. I appreciate the fact that, look, man, don't get it twisted. I break the hell down. It's because sometimes what you sitting there talking about, it sounds like you're talking about somebody, but you're talking about you. Oh yeah, I knew this dude. He told me he did this shit. Oh, that was me. I'm the one walking by dead. Most people never see a dead body, let alone see one. They got to keep going. There go another one. And I like how you give context. They didn't die. They died because they sat down and took a rest, and they didn't wake up. They're like, let me just because you said I'm the last one off the mountain. I'm the only one up here. I see this Russian guy who can't speak English, and he encouraged me enough to get off this mountain. I can only imagine what goes through Jim Moore's mind when he knows you on that mountain. He's like, dude, he's on there right now. And he's waiting for you. Hey, hello, you made it, yeah. Because that's the best friend right there. You can go tell him, Jim, look, if I don't make it, I need you to do this. He like, okay. And he got to go to practice later.
Yeah.
So that puts in perspective the type of person he is, you are. Let me say, man, you him, Mark. You him. Your last name is Mark Himothy. Your last name now is Himothy. Because at the end of the day, Mount Everest is what most of us know about it. Most of us ain't even going to attempt to do it. You like, no, dude, not only am I going to attempt it, I'm going to do it. I'm going to film it with no oxygen. I got no shoes on my feet to run over here, that there's nothing over here till I see this lady who got the light coming from, like all these different things. And then you have to stand up on stages and say, give me a second. Have you ever broke down on stage? You know, you are also a speaker. You talking to them and you like, God, dog, I did all this. Have you ever broke down in front of people you have to go speak to? Because that's a lot, man. That's a lot.
The first year, quite a bit. Yeah. Like in 2022, I guess, going into 2023, I get up and it was just, you know, I can do it now and I've gotten over it. But, you know, I couldn't help it. It was just, it would come pouring out. Like it took me, it's like, you know, I saw this was great. So I had a conversation with Rocky Bleier. Do you remember him? So he was the famous fullback for the Pittsburgh Steelers back in the glory days with Terry Bradshaw and those guys, right? And so he's got this great story. He's like a 12th round pick, something like that. But just before being picked, or right in that same time, it was like 1960 or something. And this is when, or later than that, 1968, something like that. But he also got drafted to go over to Vietnam. And so he gets in this firefight where there's this shit happening, and there's bullets and bombs and grenades, and people are dying and everything else. He ends up getting shot in the foot. And so as I'm talking about it, and I also saw him on ESPN did a thing where they actually flew him back to Vietnam on the same field, on the same location that he was laying there with all these other Americans getting shot up, and this crazy 1 hour insane, you know, firefight. And he couldn't help it. He just broke down. He actually dropped to his knees. Right. And fortunately I haven't dropped to my knees, but you know, it's, you know, in that first year, it was just very emotionally difficult. And I just nobody could ever really understand like what I went through to actually survive that, right? To get down and then get up the next morning and then, you know, go down the yellow van and the low T face and all these other, you know, it's just not like, again, you don't get to the top and you would think you'd have that moment like Rocky, right? Where you've just survived and you've done this and you've overcome. And it was the most miserable point of my life. And then I'm sitting up there, last guy sitting on the top of the mountain, top of the world, like, where is everybody? And everybody took off, right? And I'm just going, God damn, I got to go through this now. I got to figure out how to get my ass off this thing. And, you know, the top is it's pretty hairy. You know, it's steep, it's narrow. And if you don't clip it into the right rope, you know, and you clip into the wrong one, I mean, you're done. And that's how a lot of people have found their fate.
And here's the crazy part. He did this 6 more times.
So once again, what is the better view? Were you at the top looking down, or you back at the bottom looking back up at it?
You know, it was just such a hard, I mean, certainly, you know, when you're climbing up and you're looking over all the Himalayas. So on one part, you're looking down, there's 2 parts of Mount Everest. One part is Nepal, and the other side of it is Tibet, which is controlled by China. And when you're out there looking over this amazing landscape, and I've had the same view, different, of course, from the top of Denali, which is up in Alaska, highest mountain in North America. I've had the same view when I was down in Ecuador, and I've had the same view when I was in Mont Blanc in France, you know, all these places all over the world. And when you're sitting looking down on these beautiful mountain ranges, it's a glorious day and it's sunny. I mean, there's nothing better. But you also need to be in a state of mind where you can appreciate that, right? I mean, let's say you're going through a tough breakup and you're standing in a bed of roses, you know, it might be the most miserable sight of all time because you're going through this emotional breakdown of trying to like work through your own issues versus being able to see the beauty that's around you. And so I was so consumed about how I'm going to survive this, that on the top of Everest for me, it was hard to really appreciate that beauty.
Wow.
So you staring death in the face, and you keep smiling at him like, yeah, it's me.
Yeah.
Again.
Well,
yeah.
I do think, I really believe this, that, I went to the school at the University of Washington. My coach was at the time was this guy named Don James, who became a Hall of Fame coaches, and every year we went to bowl games and all this stuff. And there was no bullshitting around. It was a hard line, and you either paid attention. I had a lot to learn. It took me 3 years before I got on the field. And, I had to learn how to become disciplined and understand how to goal set and how to do all these things. And that there created a mindset. And, especially for, the few of us, that are able and lucky enough. I mean, college is one thing and the NFL is a whole nother. And, it's one thing to make it. It's a whole nother thing to stay there because, people are coming and going and trades and cuts and all that stuff. And so I think, during that place was really a time that I was able to start to learn and embrace and understand the training part of it, of the mindset that you need to do to win. And this has carried me over into business. And we had the fastest growing team site network in the history of sport on Sports Illustrated, becoming the first NFL player to climb the 7 summits. And some of these other things, this Emmy thing that I won, it's just like, it's not because of luck. It's because of the hard work I've put in and the goal setting, the mindset that has gotten me to these different places.
So on this journey, Mark, and I don't want to go left on you here, but at what point does God come into play? And was your faith, did you find yourself being closer to God? Did you call on him? I mean, was that just not even something you were able to think about? Because I would think like you're in a foxhole this whole time. And in a foxhole, everybody believes in God. You know what I'm saying? So like, what was your process and your faith as you were going through this struggle?
That's a great question again. And, I write about it quite a bit in this book. And, I think there's a variety of different levels about faith and belief, because I think once you start to learn, let's start at the lowest end. Once you start to have this discipline life, which I do, that you then have got the faith and the belief that certain things are going to happen, right? Now, when you take that a whole level up, I've been to all 7 continents, and before you even hit the mountain, you go through this religious Buddhist ceremony called a puja. And the puja is where a holy monk will come up and he blesses your journey. The Sherpas will not climb the mountain without having that journey blessed. And so you're going up on the mountain, you're being blessed. There's a silk scarf they put around your neck called a kata. And that's, again, to grant you safe passage. And so between I've been in the Serengeti, largely Muslim, in Tanzania. I've been down there twice, climbed Kilimanjaro twice. And what I believe is that, the universal message is love and belief and faith and being good, doing good deeds to other people. That's why I believe the universal. Now, there's extremists, going in all directions with all these different sects, but I don't believe just because you grew up, in the Middle East makes you wrong, and because we grew up in the States makes you all right. So now I'm on Mount Everest, and now I'm at that point where I'm calling on God. I believe that Russian that came down and talked to me was an angel. I believe that with all my heart. I was the last guy off that mountain. I never passed one person. I needed a point of inspiration to get my ass back up and start walking and moving again to get myself down. And when I was calling on God and when I was thinking about my 2 girls and other people in my life that I love, I needed that extra boost and that extra help. And so that faith and the belief of having this angel come and inspire me to take me to a new place. I definitely think that there is a higher being. I just continue as much as I can to be as good to everybody as I possibly can. Being on this podcast with you guys, sharing my story, it all adds up towards good deeds and love and trying to spread, as you go. But, definitely it took me to a whole different level when I was on that mountain.
Wow, that's deep, man.
It is. Taking it to another level on the show. Really appreciate you sharing these stories with us today, Mark. Because not a lot of people willingly go out to hear this stuff. So I can't wait to share a little bit more of this with everybody. Do want to get into a few sports topics too. Obviously, former receiver. Who's your NFL love right now? Is it one of your alma maters? Is it the Raiders? Is it the Rams? The Saints? Like who do you love? Who do you love paying attention to and supporting?
Well, I would say this, look, I grew up in Seattle, and so I wouldn't say I'm a Seahawks fan necessarily, but I'm always kind of rooting them on, and they seem to be doing well. And, I watched a lot of Sam Darnold, play when he was back at USC, Marvin, your school. And, it's fun to see his success. Even though he threw four interceptions last week, they almost pulled it off with the last, like a 7-yard field goal trying to win the game in overtime. But anyways, the Raiders, and I'll tell you the reason why the Raiders have been so good to me. I was just down there 2 weeks ago, and they fly us in, and we go from like suite to suite, and we shake hands and kiss babies, and they just treat you like gold. And the team isn't doing well now, and I don't know what's going on there. I would have thought that Pete Carroll would have prepared these guys better. I don't understand the play calling. Gino is throwing interceptions left and right, and so I think they have the pieces to make it right, but they just got to get the right players in there to turn this thing around.
I'm with you. I had the Raiders doing much better, especially with Carroll going in there.
Yeah,
I'm going to be the Negadelphian right here. I'm putting it all on Chip Kelly. Yeah. I mean, he destroyed this franchise over here, set us back, almost 5 years from the nonsense that he pulled, basically trading all our superstars away. But I didn't like the hiring when they did it. I know a lot of people, think Chip Kelly's a good offensive mind. I still don't think that he has any business to be anywhere near an NFL team, and they're going south fast. They do have the pieces. They do have a lot of talent there. I thought that they would be right in the mix there with the rest of the teams in the AFC. I thought the AFC West would have been last year's NFC North when we started the season. So, but not surprised that the Raiders do right by you. I mean, we heard some, we always hear great things about what they do with their alumni. Me and Ben were talking earlier in the year some of the stuff that was going on in Cincinnati. They were asking their players to pay, come back in for an alumni night. They're asking the players to pay for travel and hotel, and they can only bring one person. Anything more than 2 tickets, they have to pay for it out of pocket. So I'm not surprised to hear that the Raiders do right by their alumni.
It's not even close. Like down in New Orleans, I played down there for a couple of years, and they're they're all great, right? And they all have their own policies. I'm not knocking anybody, but it's kind of like what you were just saying about Cincinnati. They're like, hey, our alumni night is in December, so you get down here, you pay for your own hotel, your own everything. We'll give you 2 tickets in the 3rd deck of the Superdome. It's like, okay, well, or the Raiders fly me in there, I sit in a suite, right? I get paid, right? I mean, it's just like it's a whole different deal, right? And all these guys, this collection of people, come from different places. It's amazing. The other thing with the Raiders too, and I got to tell you this, that this was super special. And I got to tell you, I honestly believe I don't deserve this. I really do believe this, but again, I think it's more for the body of work than what I did on the field ever, because I was just another guy that went through there. I got to play 5 years. But when they built Allegiant Stadium, they put 102 players. There's cement blocks, 8.5 by 11 blocks outside of the north entrance of the stadium. It's Lester Hayes and Marcus Allen and Jim Plunkett and all these legends and greats, and many of these guys are in the Hall of Fame. Howie Long, all these guys, my teammates, and they were gracious enough to put me in the ground as well. And so again, I don't believe that I belong with that particular group, but I would say that the body of work of all these different things I've done over time, maybe that was the consideration or not, but however you slice it, I'm beyond grateful.
Mark, I say it all the time that sometimes it's not necessarily what you did on the field. It's your effect that you had to the game overall is what the ultimate impact is. We talk about it all the time on here. It's not always the numbers that you put up, the catches that you made, the touchdown. It's how you affected your teammates, what type of environment you bring around you, what you did to help expand the game afterwards. So you may personally not feel like you belong there, but like you said, your body of work has put you there. So you do deserve recognition for that. So we talk about it I tear apart the sports writers all the time because you look across all four major sports. There's a lot of guys that should be in there, but they don't have enough of a push behind them to kind of get them into that next level. So it's good to see a guy like you get that notoriety, from someone like the Raiders, because not all the time that you get the proper due and credit from your other peers in the world.
No, I appreciate that.
Bragging rights. What Steve is trying to say is bragging rights. I become sweet when you talk about football. So, as a former Raider myself, I was out there with Jamarcus Russell and Darren McFadden. When Lane Kiffin was the coach back in 2008, he was there for 8 weeks. He wasn't there a long time. And sometimes, it's when I say bragging rights, I mean, now if you're a Raider, we saying things like, do y'all got somebody clown Mount Everest? We do. You got somebody who won an Emmy? It's those, because and Marvin knows this, being the son of a future Hall of Famer. I'm gonna go ahead and put it out there. You do get bricks for different reasons. Some guys gonna get a brick because, hey man, I know what you did on the field. And some guys was a hell of a teammate. I'm talking about hell of a teammate. Because sometimes we don't get to hear what our teammates say about us. Because I used to think, man, what type of player were you? What my teammates said. Because they saw me. They experienced me. It was different. So, Mark, number one, you win best film. It ain't gonna get much better. I filmed mine. Ain't nobody yelling cut on mine. I'm just saying they not. I'm up here by myself. I'm the editor. I'm the director. But then when your name came up and somebody says, "Yeah, I think Mark should get a brick," yeah, he's earned that. Like, I think that's the greatest, accolade you could get in sports, is because your name came up in a meeting you weren't even in, and somebody, yep, give him one. But they had to call you and tell you. I would think. I hope you. I don't know what. I hope you ain't just walking to see your name. Like, dude, my heart can't take this. Y'all got a brick right here with my name on it. Whoa. Because, and Marvin knows this. Yes, we don't really care about the accolades and admiration, but we will take it. Oh, you'll take it. Like, I'm not seeking it. I'm not seeking. And the reason why we don't seek it is because I don't want to seek it and it don't come.
Let's do this.
Let's pull it up right there. There you go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How about
yes,
that?
Sir.
Isn't that cool?
I'm just saying. Listen. Two things. Number one, I got to experience certain things. I get to see a Mount Everest killer, because you've been up there again. All the stuff you went through. That's the football player in you. I don't want to think it can beat me. And I'm sitting here with the son of a future Hall of Famer, so I get to be on the show where I got Hall of Fames. Dads and the son get to enshrine. I get to look at bricks, and that's incredible, Mark. I'm happy for you, sir. Because like I said, that's why you really want to take your family back to these games or some of these, because you don't tell them. You're like, Dad, is that you? That is me. That's crazy, ain't it?
No.
You know what I'm saying? So hey, that's I got a chance to talk to some of them old great Raiders that came back when we was there. Jake the Snake and those guys, may he rest. I mean, all those guys are coming back through. And a lot of players was like, dang, the Raiders used to be it, huh? Hell yeah. The Raiders used to be it. Now, it's been now that's back when NFL films first started. Now, that's black and white VHS. Not currently. Not these Raiders. And I love them, but I will say this. No matter what team you play for, the greatest uniform combination is silver and black. It don't matter how people feel about it. It's the greatest. Look at Marvin like, it's silver and black.
It's the jet in me. Can't admit to it.
That's my Raider jersey right there. I'm really proud, to be a part of that organization and whatever level I was at. But the cool thing about is that, so when I was there, Mark Davis was just a ball boy, right? That's what Al Davis, and he was such a big presence, right? and he was dominating. And obviously he was a complete eccentric around football, Raider. And he just pounded Mark into the ground. He didn't have a lot of confidence and all that kind of stuff. His best buddy was Cliff Branch. Cliff Branch, it was his last year, was my first year. I was just a rookie. And those two would hang out all the time together, and they got in trouble a lot together. But the thing that's cool is that Mark was able to pull off something that Al could never, which is get the stadium thing figured out. And that Ben, as you know, that Las Vegas move has been nothing short of a home run. They're sold out every single week with all this corporate stuff. And when you go in, it's like a Cirque du Soleil. They have these acts, that are already there. They don't have to go recruit them. They're already there. They come in. They have Sammy Hagar or whatever if they're playing. It's just an amazing atmosphere to be in, and it's really cool what he was able to pull off.
Mark Davis.
Yeah, and actually, I want to ask you something. Obviously, being in the entertainment side of it, right? We're about to see the Prime TV. They're going to be doing something on the Raiders where they got they got Nicolas Cage playing John Madden. You got Christian Bale's going to be portraying Al Davis. Are you excited about that to kind of see what kind of stories they're going to tell with that?
Yeah, it was really cool time too because my head coach was Tom Flores, and when I got there, it was kind of like there was a new group of. It was kind of the new group of way you do things in college football, from college football to the NFL, and the old school, guys have been around. Ray Guy, I can remember the old, Hall of Fame punter. Our lockers were next to us, Marvin in the Coliseum, which is where we played. And he'd be smoking a cigarette, doing his thing. And after training camp, like Marvin, you were talking about what it's like between, 6 weeks of training camp, in 2 days and those 7 days. After each practice, at the end of the second practice of that day, we're practicing at the time up in Oxnard, I'd go into this one guy's room, Dave Dalby. He was a center. He'd been only the second center in the history of the Raider franchise. And we'd go into his room, and I'd be in there. He had a full refrigerator with a tap and a keg, and we'd be in there drinking beers with the coaches. Like, none of this stuff happened, right? And it was just a different era. And then we had this camaraderie night where people would go out every Thursday and just get shellacked, man. And this is just what they did, right? I was Jim Plunkett's rook, and straight shots and all that stuff. I was like, okay, new level. And they don't do that anymore, obviously. And there's such a new level of discipline, and you're not smoking cigarettes and drinking coffee while you're stretching and all that kind of stuff. But that's what they were doing. So it's a new era. I think it should be the way it is. But it'll be interesting to see how these guys can actually portray that culture and some of these wild personalities that were there at the time.
Yeah, that's probably what I'm more interested in. Obviously, we all know like what happened on the field. I want to see where they're gonna dive into the behind the scenes stuff.
They're gonna have to edit a lot of that. Al Davis. They're gonna have to edit a lot of that stuff, man. They ain't gonna be able to put that stuff. But Al Davis is legendary. I mean, there aren't too many John Madden's legendary, but when I went to the Raiders, how I got out there was crazy. But I just remember trying out for the team. And when I got done, Lane Kiffin, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, they all looked up. I'm looking, and he's upstairs. And he pulled back the blinds. He wore an all-white Raiders jumpsuit like every day. I think that's all he wore. I never could wear nothing else. Yeah, and he looks at me and he gives me the thumbs up. I said, hey, never got to speak to him, shake his hand, but Al Davis approved me. Because Al Davis was like, yeah, if I think he can play, which I never got out there either. And the Raiders is a different. I mean, it was sad. Yes, it was a great move to Vegas. It was sad to see because Coliseum was different, man. It was, but Mark Davis did. If Al is still alive, Mark ain't gonna be nowhere near that stadium. They're not moving. Al Davis to me was the greatest renegade in NFL. He was a renegade. He did not care what everybody else did. He did not go with what all the owners did. But his mentality pushed the NFL to what it is, the kind of way. And I think Mark was like, "Look, Daddy, I know you wouldn't want this, but this is for the survival of the Raiders. We going to Vegas." And that stadium is crazy. I've never been to Vegas before, and now I have a reason to go. to Vegas. And I just hope they do Al Davis justice, because just win, baby, is obviously a legendary phrase, but Al Davis was a one of one. He really was. And like I said, the Raiders, the sign of a good team, the sign of a real team is having no wins and a fan base that still supports you. And when I tell you Raider Nation travel, they will travel. And this is just me not really understanding the legacy of the Raiders when I went out there, but yeah, man. Like, I played for the Titans, blessed enough to play for the Bucks, and I appreciate both of those teams. They ain't the Raiders. Yeah, they not. And so, hey, man, I hope they do them right. And I'm looking for some surprises in this thing, because Mark Davis is a unique character, though, man. That dude I never got a chance to meet him either. I don't even know if he was allowed to be around when I was out there. I never saw him. He was nowhere around the facility, but I think he's doing a good job with the Raiders. I think the Raiders, like a lot of teams that aren't winning, it's a culture thing. It's not a player thing. You got to get the culture right, and then you can just plug the players in. That's why Baker Mayfield is really, really good in Tampa, because the culture was already built. Not saying he's not a good player, because he is. Yeah. If the culture isn't right, it ain't gonna matter. Pete Carroll, Bill Belichick, Nick Saban, Andrew Reid, they got to get that. And let me say this: when they get it right, it's going to be hell to pay. I'm telling you, when the Raiders get it right, when the Jets get it right, my Falcons ain't going to get it right. That's just not going to happen. That's not allowed. My Falcons will not get it right. Yeah. But the teams that care about football, they're going to get – and when the Raiders get it right, it's going – I don't know what type of run they're going to go on, but it's going to be glorious. And I am talking trash because I was blessed enough to be out there with the Raiders, and I went to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. I went to Ronald McDonald House. I got kids with terminal illnesses. I come in, and the kid said, he said, who you play for? He said, I play for the Raiders. He said, good, because you play for San Francisco. Mind you, I'm in San Francisco. They said, you can't stay. This is a kid with a terminal illness. They love the Raiders in the Bay. They love San Francisco too. But even though they ain't in the Bay no more, the Bay still love them, man. I mean, they still coming to these games. That's a lot of flights coming from Oakland to Alameda County over there to Vegas. Thank God it's a straight flight. I heard it don't cost that much. Them Southwest flights, they be loaded come Saturday night.
45 minutes, you're there. It's easy.
As we get ready to wrap this up, fellas, do you have any last questions before we let Mark enjoy the rest of his afternoon?
So Mark, I haven't spoken to many Emmy winners. I can tell you that now, but I would imagine, listen, winning the Emmy puts you in an elite company. It says a lot about your genius and just your work ethic and everything else. What kind of feedback or what kind of follow-up have you gotten from just people in the industry wanting to work with you or just get you on their projects? I would imagine there are a lot of people in the industry that want somebody who's accomplished like yourself, who's holding that trophy.
It's really interesting because, again, it's not really movie people or any of that kind of stuff. And I don't know if, anybody who's seen this film, and I just put the link, on YouTube, up there. It's called Searching for the Summit, if anybody's listening to this. But, at the end of the day, that really, that's not what I do. Am I happy to go film another, like climbing up the Matterhorn?
Yeah.
Just like, remember when you go to Disneyland, they have the Matterhorn, they use zipping it out.
When you said the Matterhorn, I thought that was only a Disney ride. I didn't even know that was like a real thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I learned something today. I'm serious.
Yeah. After we get off this, you guys go research and take a look at what the Matterhorn looks like. And I went right up the face of that thing. And but look, the question is, are there other stories to be told out there? Maybe. And I'd be certainly happy to collaborate. I've been asked to be on 3 different, Survivor shows, right, where you go out and do that kind of stuff. But, honestly, the like between what you have to do, which I'm for sure would win it. But like splitting $500,000 with somebody else, $250,000 for 2 months of your life and eating bugs and all that kind of stuff is just not what I want to do. Right. So again, I have to do it for the right reasons. And if it's not, I'm not driven by money. I'm driven by, what's the right thing to do and what feels right. And I'm going to start consulting, companies and do things like that. And, I probably have 500,000 plus in my social circles, between LinkedIn and Instagram and Facebook and those things. So I get hit up all the time to rep different products. But again, money is is secondary to what is it they're asking me to do, and is that something I can really get behind? And most of the time, I would say I turn things down.
Gotcha.
I mean, my last one. Go ahead, Marvin.
I was just letting know. I put the link that Mark sent is right down there below, so people who are tuning in and watching in can go check that video out. I wanted to put that up there in the banner for you, so we can get some more people checking that out.
Yeah.
Mark, I know you're not chasing trophies. You've made that abundantly clear. But listen, one of the things I always heard growing up from my dad and just other people is, don't let your NFL career or your NFL status, be the highlight of your life. Most of us are out of the league by 25. I was. So with that said, man, kudos to you for really taking it to another level. I know you wasn't chasing the trophy, but in chasing greatness, you got the trophy. And that Emmys, it's a big deal, man. Mount Everest, that's a big deal, man. So congratulations on just continuing to have accomplishments after football life.
Yeah. That means so much, coming from you guys. And number one. Number two is, I've always, you take it like I've heard about this metaphor before, and I'll share it with you now, which is, when you're driving down the road and you've got your windshield, is obviously huge because you're looking forward on what's in front and what's coming. And you don't spend a whole time looking in the rear view mirror. And I think too many people, especially, NFL grades, the bigger you are, a lot of times this is a big problem. A lot of those guys are still hung up on going and signing autographs, and that's how they're defined. But your life is kind of like that. It's you're like, there's not much to see in the rear view because it's so small, and there's a whole lot to go after. And and as much as, I guess some people have commented like, oh, you've accomplished a lot. I don't personally feel like I've accomplished enough. And you just think about all the things out in the world, like there's so many things for me to go do and accomplish and climb and tackle that's what I'm focused on every day, every morning when I wake up. And I started off with 2 hours, at 5:30 in the morning. I'm out now. It's pitch black. I'm out there with the only guy with a headlamp. And I don't do that because I'm trying to prove because there's no cameras out there. I'm doing that for me because I've learned that as a life of discipline, if I can start the way how I do something is how I'm going to do everything. And that paves the way to what's next.
I hear you, brother.
I mean, my final one is simple, man. Matthew McConaughey, he won, an Oscar for the Dallas Buyers Club.
Yeah.
And during his acceptance speech, he says something I live by. He says 3 things: something to look up to, something to look forward to, and something to chase. What is Mark? What do you look up to? What are you looking forward to? And what is Mark chasing?
Marvin just said it. I'm chasing, greatness, but not greatness being compared to Michael Jordan or something like that. Greatness for myself. What is Mark's max potential? And I really believe my best days are still ahead. What was the second one?
Something to look up to, something to look forward to.
Well, looking forward to, what's next. And right now I'm since I just got back from the Dolomites, I'm planning out next year about my climb. And there's a good chance I'm going to go down and do Mount Fuji, which is in Japan. And I've been to Japan, but not spent much time there. So to go and tackle that one, it's just kind of an iconic mountain in Asia. And so, putting that together and trying to figure that out. And who I look up to, I just look up to anybody that has had a life of accomplishment and is chasing down new things and continuing to get up every day with some kind of purpose.
Love it, brother. Love it. Now, as we're getting ready to wrap this one up, Mark, what I typically do is kind of throw the proverbial microphone over to you. Anything you want to let the people know, where to follow you on socials, any projects that you're working with, anything like that. The time is yours, my friend.
Yeah. I'm going to put my website, and this pretty much follows all my. So if anybody wants to go check out what I'm doing, markpattisonnfl.com. My social handles are all at Mark Pattison NFL, and that's where you can find me.
All right. Well, Mark, obviously, it was a pleasure catching up with you. Pulling that up for you right now. Let you know there's Mark Pattison's website. I'm definitely glad I reached out to you to kind of bring you on. You definitely taught me Ben Marvin a little bit of something today. Definitely looking forward to bringing you back on again here in the future. We have multiple different programs on top of what I do here on the Fan in the End with these two gentlemen. So I'll definitely be in touch to have you back on again. Pick your brain a little bit more, and I'm looking forward to seeing when you get there to Fuji, man. That should definitely be an interesting climb.
Let's talk about the Matterhorn, the Eiger, Mount Blanc. There's a whole list of things. I could throw some pictures that would freak you out.
Well, it ain't gonna scare me, my friend. I'm tough to scare on a normal day, but I mean, what you've talked about today is definitely something I'm not gonna forget. And appreciate the time, and let's do this again soon in the future, Mark.
Yeah, thank you. And I got to compliment you three. I have a podcast called Finding Your Summit, all about people overcoming adversity and finding their way. And it's hard enough doing one-on-one, and you guys all shared the screen really nicely. And I appreciate you guys doing that, talking over each other, and all your questions were really well thoughtful and laid out. And I appreciate that. You guys are good at what you do. So thank you.
I appreciate that. We work hard here. I talk to Marvin all the time. I just kind of I picked up Marvin. We were just talking on social media. I was like, you know what? Come on to do some shows with us. And he's got the bug now, so he's always saying, he's learning from us every day. So I'm sure telling him that right now, you just gave him some more confidence.
Absolutely.
When you guys have this ready to go, send it over to me and I'll plug it out on my networks. So
yeah, as soon as we get done, I'll shoot you all the socials, all the clips we got, and everything like that, and have some fun.
And don't be afraid to reach out to us, man. I mean, we all are part of the same podcast environment. So I know you got yours. You come on ours. We would love to come on yours as well.
Absolutely.
I love it. All right, guys, listen, have a great day. And just remember, it takes a little more to make a champion.
Always, friend. Appreciate it, Mark. Have a good one. Right. All right, everyone. That was Mark Pattison. I'm sure you guys, when we first booked this, wasn't expecting that much to come out of Mark.
Ain't no way.
You probably could have did like a 3-hour show with Mark.
Yeah. Mark is him. Mark is. Let me commend you too, Mark, for what you said. I mean, a lot of football players, man, that'd be our hype. Some of us, that's all we got. We won't go in rooms where people don't know us. We won't go to autograph signings that we can't make 10,000. I'm not showing up unless I can. And you're supposed to get to the point that somebody said, "Wait a minute, you play football?" And I thought yeah. That's how I got started. But I can't live off what I used to be. I got some stories, but this is what I'm doing now. You know what I'm saying? That's dope stuff.
That was definitely fun. I was glad that one, I came across Mark, two, that he responded and we got him on. Definitely going to have him back on again. At some point in time. Either soon or maybe even after the holidays.
You got to catch him in between summits. So did he say he climbs every day? He climbs every day.
I'm gonna tell him he's got to send us update photos as he goes through it, so we can pull it up here and talk about it. But let's get into some football talk, and I want to start things off first and foremost. Bernie Kosar, man, he for people who don't know, maybe you don't go on social media as much. He was going through some medical stuff, right? Had to have a liver transplant. He was been waiting for I think it said 16 months, 18 months, something like to that effect. And luckily enough, there was somebody in his area who was going through his own medical issues. He was getting ready to transition from that to his end of life stuff, and his family decided to donate his organs. And sure enough, this young man was a huge Browns fan. So who ends up with his liver? All but Mr. Bernie Kosar. It looks like so far everything is looking good. The transplant was yesterday morning. Bernie's already been posting videos, pictures, etc. It's good when you see stories like this, when we don't wind up losing some of these former players to medical conditions as they get older. Glad to see that he's going to be with us a little bit longer. It's definitely one of those things that pulls at your heartstrings, because watching some of the videos come out when The donations family was just kind of getting ready to go to the surgery. Had him all draped in a brown shirt. I couldn't imagine being a parent going to watch your kid's organs getting ready to be donated for use of other people. I don't ever want to know what that feels like. But yeah, it's cool to see that we're gonna get Bernie a little bit longer. Let's start with Ben on this one.
And obviously I saw it, and I'm super duper happy for Bernie. I'm happy for his family. I don't, that's a helpless feeling, and it happens to a lot of people. Those to need a liver or a kidney, those waiting lists are endless for those who have had those experiences. For Bernie Kosar to have to go and really plead for his life, if anybody out there, and somebody did, and Bernie Kosar is a guy. Obviously, I know about playing in Miami, playing for Cleveland, being a national championship winner, and all those things fall short when you start talking about real life. And I'm just happy that Bernie, if the person who was transitioning was told, hey, you're gonna be able to, your kidney or your liver is gonna be a match, because it's one thing to have when you got to be a match to the person you want to give it to, and they say, yeah, you're gonna be able to. I don't know if there was a better feeling. Listen, no one wants to see their family member pass away, but to know, wait a minute, you telling me yes,
I'm sure, like I said, I'm sure that kid was knowing what was going on was like, he was a lifelong Browns fan, so I'm sure that that was probably one of the few things that gave him joy, before he moved on to the next level of life.
I'm a lifelong Cleveland Browns fan. And, we all put organ donors, most of us on our driver's license, to be able to say, yeah, it's going to go to Bernie Kosar. They're going to be like, stop playing with me. Yeah. That switched the whole conversation with that doctor and that patient. And, hey, man, some of us want to, I would hope that most of us want to die doing something for somebody else. I don't know if it gets much better than that in a situation like that. Listen, we all got a death sentence. We hope we live a long time, man. I hope most of us live a long time. But when it's time to go, and somebody say, "Man, what's the lag?" That man's in heaven saying, "Look, that's Bernie." Remember when I told you that's him right there. It's like happy for Bernie, and to that Cleveland Browns fan and family, because he has people that's still here saying, so now they get to meet Bernie Kosar. They get to meet him, shake his hand. And they could become friends. So a guy that I grew up watching and loving and idolizing, man, my family is sitting in his house or sitting in his hospital room. So, yeah, man, God don't play, man. God don't play no games out here. The way he does it, that's the only way you can do it. So, congratulations to Bernie and to the young man who transitioned. Man, obviously, man, you rest in peace, and there's no greater way to say go Browns than that. I guarantee. To him, there ain't no better way. I don't know what his last words were, but I bet you go Browns was a part of it. And that'll be a part of his legacy. And I guarantee at his funeral, they put that in there. Just so you guys know. Yeah. So congratulations to Bernie. And like I said, to the young man, hey, don't get much better than that.
Marvin?
Listen, my Bernie Kosar story here is when I was in the 8th grade in New York, Woodland Middle School. I was a starting quarterback for Woodland Middle School. We went undefeated, and I was a sidearm slinger. And my dad used to always call me Bernie Kosar, and I used to love it, because Bernie was the man. If you don't know, if you wasn't, I was a football nut growing up. You know what I'm saying? Football nerd as a kid. Bernie was the man. You know what I'm saying? He had a great career, and they had some good teams. Played against Elway and some good games. But Bernie was the man, and it's such a selfless and an amazing thing for someone to go through their own struggle and on the way out bless somebody else. You know what I'm saying? And it's just you forget this guy was an all-pro quarterback, but he's a dad. He's a friend. He's a brother, and a lot of fans don't see it like that. You think he's a football person. No, he's a real person, like Ben was saying. You know what I mean? So I'm happy for his family. I'm happy for his kids. I'm happy for those people who really know him and really love him as a person. Because I know what it is. We all know what it is to lose somebody, man. So I'm just happy for this process of organ donor, and I'm just happy there are people out there who who see the opportunity and take advantage of the opportunity to bless others. And it's just a great story. And, in a day and age where we got so much bad press and so much bad news and negative news and this and that, it's good to see, stuff like this, man. It makes you feel good and inspires you. And you feel better about humanity when you hear these kind of stories. So it warms my heart. And I'm thankful for the man who lost his life. I'm thankful for Bernie and his family as well.
Yeah, there's some sadness in it, but there's also some happiness too. I'm sure Bernie couldn't be more excited that he has a second.
Of course, man. Of course, he puts it out there. He makes that public plea. I know he was on like a bunch of social media outlets. I can only imagine what happened to Bernie when they said, "Man, we found the match." Really? He's a Cleveland Browns fan. Stop playing with me. Because they got to throw that. They got to throw that in there. Man, football is such a beautiful game, man. For what it does, like bigger than just on the field and the fandom, and that's you. Once again, man, I hope that I don't know if Bernie is a book writer, man, but I hope he writes a book about this, man.
Yeah,
let that young man's legacy live on. And
he'd be smart to write a book right about now. Like,
yeah.
Like,
so, the book companies are already blowing the phone up.
Being a part of those crazy Miami Hurricane teams, when he was there, being a part of Cleveland, everything that he's gone through. I would think it would probably be one of the better selling books, from a former player at this point in time, just because he, we all know how crazy it is down there in Cleveland right now. So,
listen, talk about his Miami days. I watched I watched these Netflix documentaries. Bernie was somewhere between Cocaine Cowboys and
Bernie was like, let's keep this thing PG. Like, dude, y'all ain't doing no. I mean, that's what Yeah.
And he was in a room of three different really good quarterbacks too, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Jim Kelly, Bernie, Vinny Testaverde.
That's crazy. Think about it, Vinny. Vinny Testaverde, Jim Kelly, Bernie Kosar. Really? Yeah. Like we loaded. Like we good. Like that's like the only. To show you, people say the only. Not that it's the same, but at one point they ain't the same. It was Tua. No, it was Jalen, Tua, Mac Jones, Bryce Young. That was a quarterback room at Alabama. So don't think that these type. You see what I'm saying? It's hard to compare that type of. That's a lot of star power, man.
And I do want to bring this up. Some crazy stuff happened last Saturday night, Sunday, with the New York Jets. Right? Obviously, Chris Boyd was shot. He was in critical condition when the initial situation happened, and I'm from what I've read so far, he's in stable condition now. It looks like he's going to recover, but he was out, hanging out with some friends there in New York. They played Thursday night, so he was enjoying his time with his friends and was unfortunately shot. Thankfully, he's still with us. We don't know the football side of things, but it's crazy when we're hearing stuff like this, right? Players getting shot. Just whatever. I don't know why some people have to have guns, have to resort to guns, things of that nature. And let me start off with Marvin on this. Your thought on the Christopher Boyd shooting.
Well, listen, you hear all the time in the NFL, they tell you nothing good happens after midnight. Nothing good at all. That's like they've done data on this. They've done studies. Like it's a real thing. You know what I'm saying? Listen, we live in a day and age where people, they're gun crazy. The people are gun crazy. People have low emotional intelligence. People, their ego and their pride comes to play. I don't know anything about what happened in that situation, but I bet you, words were said that were unnecessary. Egos were touched and sensitive, and somebody felt the need to be tough and take it to another level. It's unfortunate. You hate that. This young man is, and he's in the prime of his young life right now. He's earned one of the greatest opportunities in the world to play in the National Football League, and for him to survive the game, to survive all the injuries that go with the game, but to be out with his friends and have to deal with that, it's horrible. It's horrible, and you pray that this young man pulls through. But it's just another unfortunate situation where, again, gun violence gets him, comes to play, and now we got a man fighting for his life. And he should be focusing on his game coming up this week.
Ben.
Yeah, I agree. I think sometimes in the National Football League, I think these players be forgetting the fact that, man, you ain't like them. You just rock with them. Like, you can love your family, you can love your friends, you can love your partners. You ain't them. And I get it. You a man just like them, man. I feel just like them. I got emotions just like them. I got it. I say, but the biggest ego in that car is yours. Because you have to use yours to survive and thrive on the field. Well, that's when people say, man, what can words do? That's what words can do. Mm-hmm. That's what they can do. Because ain't nobody. When the last time you heard somebody say they scrapped? Man, we knuckled up, man. We went out there and, we went out there and threw the fade. Ain't nobody throwing no fade because it's an ego thing. And now, you know what else? No arrests have been made. No arrests have been made. Yep. And I think the thing about professional athletes, even student athletes, you got to understand your sacrifice might be, man, I can't do that stuff no more. What you mean? I got to almost sense danger, and which means, hey man, y'all come over here and let's go somewhere to where these type of altercations are minimal. And I'm not blaming Boyd for what happened to him. I'm saying that's how fast life happens, though. That's how fast things can shift on you. And no matter what, you in that hospital bed fighting for your life. Yeah, you've been able to recover. But the first thing Boyd is going to do is start saying, ooh, the question is always, what's it worth it? And the answer is always no. Even if you weren't wrong, for somebody to disrespect you, you got to look at disrespect different when you in these situations. Mm-hmm. You got to look at life differently. And I hope it don't have to happen to you like this for you to see. But, and Marvin can speak to this, sometimes your family and your friends, they ain't going to understand. They're going to be like, dude, you don't never want to hang out. It ain't, I do. You don't ever want to, I do. But I'm risking more than you. And sometimes people gonna try y'all because I'm there. They wouldn't even come up to y'all if they trying to make a point with me. And this is coming from living in Nashville. They ain't a big market down there in Tampa. Do you out there in Oakland? It's just being able to say, fellas, I got to move differently. I'm not telling y'all got to move differently, but I got to. And either you can rock with that or you can't, because no one wants to hear about another player losing their life, man. Don't nobody want to hear, either players are literally taking their lives or they're dying, which it happens, or stuff like that. Because that just makes the game so small. You hear about Boyd, you just heard about the coach out there in Oakland. It's like, God, no, dude, like, what are we? And I'm not saying their death is any, higher up than some person we don't know. But when you one of them, 1,900 or whatever it is players in the league, you are one of one. Even if you ain't no Pro Bowl, Super Bowl, big name, can't do it, man. Yeah. And I guarantee you this, when you are that type of player or you have that type of influence, you can control the whole group. Hey, man, you don't got to say, I ain't going. Hey, man, we ain't going over there. Man, they ain't going to go. We ain't going over there. Because if you don't do that, if you can be swayed by your people, look, I bet you ain't gonna see no more stuff about John Morant. I bet you it'll never happen again. Not because he don't love his people. He's saying, dude, either I'm gonna let y'all cost me or y'all worth so much that I don't want to be a basketball player no more. You got to pick. These, man, that's how big the window is. So I'm happy that he's okay. But Boyd ain't from Manhattan now. He just lived there. And the New Yorkers, they do not play. As a person that lived there, play with them if you want to. You can pick any borough. And Harlem ain't no borough. That's like an extension of Manhattan. Harlem, Brooklyn, the Bronx, Long Island, Staten. Don't play with us. And sometimes in a situation like that, New Yorkers, and I'm not talking about all, I don't know them all. They gonna let you know what it is. And they ain't trying to be tough either. They say, who you talking to? They're going to pull out them hollow tips on you quick. And so I'm happy that he's okay. Let me say this. I'm happy that he's all right. But everybody can learn from this. The older men get, we just talk trash. We ain't going to do nothing. Man, what? We talking and backing up. Man, I'll come over there because it ain't in us no more. Now, Dire Straits, we might have to put these up, and I get it. If I got to fight for my lady, I'm going to fight for it. Then we're going to get in the car. I say, didn't I tell you not to wear that? See, and I got to go fight. Now I done tore my ACL, and I won. Look, I won the fight because I hit him last. He hit me 3 times. I hit him 4 times. I counted. I hit him 1 more time to me. I'm just saying, now I'm in the – she's like, I'm sorry. Now I can't even do the show because my knee's swelling up because of you. You know what I'm saying? It's being young, it's hard to let stuff go. It's hard to do it because you thinking, man, they're going to think I'm a punk. So they're going to think I'm soft. So you got a game to get to. Now you in the hospital.
Yeah, right.
And I think that's the thing we got to preach more, not just to football players, but young men in general. It ain't that serious because your mama can't afford to pay for your eulogy, pay for your funeral. Your mama, your daddy don't want to, the parents don't want to be burying their kids over what? So I'm happy that he's okay, but you live in New Jersey, you need to stay over there, youngin. Boy, stay over. Don't come across that wall. Don't come through the Lincoln. Don't come through the Highland, and don't come over to George Washington. Why? Because that's different. That's a different life across that bridge and in them tunnels. I'm just telling. I know people in New Jersey don't never go to New York because they go over that bridge. And through that tunnel. Yeah, bro. As soon as you hear them, as soon as you see the New York Times,
yeah.
Listen, who you looking at? I'm telling you, it's cool. And that don't mean they want to fight. New Yorkers are honest, brutally honest. And us Southerners, we used to lying to each other. We do that Southern hospitality, aka not telling the truth. Well, that's not happening in New York. In New York, when you thinking they talking about another dude, you talking about me? Yeah, I'm talking about you. In your face. Yes, I don't like you. What? And it took me a week to understand. Hey man, New York, bro. If you in the line at a restaurant, at a deli, and it's a special, and can I get the special? And you say, man, can you take the mushrooms out? Hell no, I'm giving you this, but bro, I usually charge $20 for this. Take your own mushrooms out. And I realized that do make sense. Like, why would I take something else out when I'm giving it to you for get the hell out of my line? This is the dude talking to the guy. I'm like, can I get the special? You can keep the mushrooms in mine. I don't want nothing. You know what I'm saying? I just love New York, man. New York. Listen, the hot dog dude that sell a hot dog for $1.50, play with him. Order the hot dog and say you don't want it. He's going to your job. And it ain't personal for $1.50. I said, you go, yeah, dude. He said, this is how I make my bread. This is how I pay for this is how, support my family. So, boy, I'm happy you're all right. Just stay across that. Don't come across that bridge. And if you do, go to a ballet or something, man. Go see Hamilton. Don't drive your own car. Don't even take a yellow cab. Drive your car, take an Uber, leave them New Yorkers alone. This is in Manhattan now. This ain't even in the Brooklyn or the Bronx. Man, boy.
All right, so want to move on to the next one. Now we got to talk about, we got to talk about the nonsense that happened in Texas over this past weekend, right?
Oh my God.
With this knucklehead, we're talking about being older and acting properly. This nonsense. All right, so obviously everyone heard the incident that happened that down there in Texas A&M and the South Carolina game, right? And there's no place for this. None whatsoever. Your job is to protect the athletes on the field, not sitting there trying to throw shoulders at people and cause an incident for no absolute reason. I don't know what was going through this person's mind, but you do realize there's cameras and microphones all over the stadium, right? So what made you think that this was a good idea, two, that you were going to get away with it? How did you think this was going to play out? Because now you've been removed from game day duties. I wouldn't be surprised if they completely remove him from the force, which he absolutely deserves, because if he's doing this here, what is he doing on his normal shifts? What is he doing on his normal shifts? How's he acting then? Because there ain't no cameras following him then. There ain't no microphones there then. So, I'll say this. I don't want to say it's a race thing, but can't tell me that it isn't. Can't tell me that it isn't. I'm gonna start with Marvin on this one. The unfortunate trooper at Texas A&M.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of hit it, man. Listen, you down there in Texas, deep in the South, man, and You still got them good old boy mentalities. This is a horrible look for A&M. It's a horrible look for college football. It's a horrible look for the police who, I mean, listen, we're a few years out of, Black Lives Matter. And if you pay attention, you're still hearing some things, in regards to the police. It's just unfortunate, man. This kid out here playing ball, doing this thing, minding his business. This cop is supposed to represent professionalism, safety, comfort. You're supposed to see him and feel better. He's there to protect you, from these crazy fans and crazy situations, So to put that kid in that predicament, it was just horrible, man. It was a bad look. And, I don't know if I didn't hear anything about any comments he may have made about the situation. I don't know if they allowed him or anybody interviewed him or if he's made any public statements, but I would love to hear what he has to say about why he did that, how it happened, and if he has any remorse. I want to see, now that you've seen it and the whole world has seen it, what are your thoughts now? Do you feel sorry for it? Can you explain it? It was just really it was quick. It was a quick thing that happened, but again, it was caught on camera. Horrible look. And, he deserves whatever happens, to be honest with you, because that's a situation where, you got a guy with a badge trying to be a bully, in a situation where, this kid's doing the right thing in every scenario, in every case you can imagine. But this guy wants to let him know who he is. There's no room for that. We don't need that.
Ben.
Yeah. We were just talking about how like football players are people too, right? Police officers are people too. All you have to do is say, "My bad, young man." Look, go up to my bad, young man. Simple. It's over with. My bad, young man. No. There are certain people that they want certain positions because they want you to fear them. My badge is my authority. Who the hell is you? Aren't you employed by people's tax dollars? These are essentially the people that's paying you, not him particularly. But when's the last time you ever seen a cop do that? Cops be so far out the way that you don't even know they at the game unless something happened, right? What was he doing where are you going, sir? Where are you going? And here's the thing, right? Sometimes how you really are, right, happens in real time. We don't know this cop. We don't know how he really is. All we can go off is what we saw, and what we saw was bad. Number one, you bumped into them. What are you doing? We going to the locker room. What are you doing? Coming out. Then you pointing at people? What you pointing at me for? Are you saying, sir, don't you? No, I'm a football player. This is a football tunnel. Where are you going, sir? This ain't a police department. Right? I can see if I'm a football player walking into a police department with my uniform on. No, I'm walking out of the tunnel because I just came out the locker room. And once again, the internet and social media is undefeated. Sir, you are famous for the wrong reasons now. And no matter what, you know what this is going to do? This is going to make people really look at the Texas A&M Police Department. To say, because I don't like when the chief goes, this ain't a reflection of, yes, the hell it is, because he worked for you. Yes, it is. Now, it ain't something you would have done, but he did it. So it's a moment in time, but I guarantee you, if you work at Texas A&M for the police department, you've gone to more meetings in a week than you've ever. Let me tell y'all something. That's never going to happen again. We are here to protect and serve and stay out the way. Not get in the way, not make the news, right? They better be lucky Texas A&M came back and won that game. Because that kind of overshadowed what was really going on. But man, all I know is this: there are a lot of good cops out there. Most of them are good. I'm tired of running to the bad apples. Why do we keep saying the bad apples? Because they say that's what it's just a couple of bad. Why do we keep saying them? Now we see them at a football game. And no matter what, perception is as my daddy would say, perception is reality. If I don't know your reality, I don't know your realities. I don't know you. So all I can go over is what you saw. So it's gonna be a big thing until it's not. They're gonna have to do some damage control for real. Because if that cop would just went up to that player and said, I'm sorry, young man, I apologize. No, my ego got in the way. He bumped into me. I'm like, bro, who the hell is you? Sir, officer. And if you are that. But what I don't like is, just imagine if it was the other way, though. Now, what if the player did it? People are going to lose their mind. And that's the part I really don't like. Hey, man, you don't know who that cop is? I don't got no ears. I'm talking about what he done. I'm talking about what I seen him do. And he could have made – and the cop is the full-blown adult. That's a young man dealing with a grown man. Grown man acting more of his shoe size than an age. That's what I saw. So I don't like the fact that when it's the players, people go crazy, and when it's adults, people like, oh well, ain't nobody coming at that dude. What the hell is he doing? I done seen plenty of police officers at the game. I've never run into a ref on the field, let alone a cop on the sideline or in the tunnel. I've never done that. That's never happened. So this cop thought he was doing, so he like, hey man, if they run into me, I got something for him. But somebody goes, I don't think you want to do that. That's not gonna go the way you think, sir. You got a family. You probably have children that go to school, and they're gonna have to deal with that. Because they look up everything. Now, where does he live? How much money does he make? They're going to look into your whole history, which I don't think the internet should do that, but he should definitely have to feel the consequence of that. Being fired from the game is one thing. And, man, put him behind the desk, man, because that dude, I don't think he should be out there protecting and serving the public. He don't seem to like the public, even when they got football uniforms on.
I think I get it now. He had a bet, and SC was messing it up. Like you said, thank God Texas A&M came back and won that game. But he probably had a bet going on because Southern California was whooping their butts their first half. So maybe he had a bet. Yeah, he was trying to get him thrown out the game.
I believe he's a Texas A&M fan.
Paycheck.
But listen, do I believe the Texas A&M Police Department root for Texas A&M? Yeah, I can see that. But, bro, you got to keep it under wrap.
Yeah, right.
Like, if you was going to the bathroom, you're supposed to be going way for now. They coming out. It's how hard is it for you to move out the way? Move out the way, sir. I'm just saying, man. Like, what are we? And shout out to those football players once again, because they always on camera. See how they conduct themselves, and they ain't even in the throne. Yeah. That's the part I don't like. The person in the right still got to make things comfortable for the person in the wrong. That's the kind of stuff. That's what I saw. But hey, man, when LeBron James get to tweeting at you, that ain't good, sir. Because he has a lot of people can hear what they could be like, what are you talking about?
Thankfully, Texas A&M did the right thing. They removed him from game day duties and nipped that in the butt. And I think SC coach was asked about afterwards, and showed love both to team and the Texas A&M police.
Yeah, Shane Beamer.
So gonna move on real fast. We lightly talked about it last night with the Matthew Stafford thing, because after last week's game, he is finally in the winning side of things. It took him 4 years in LA to finally get out from having a losing record, and even more so as right now, he's the odds-on favorite to be the league MVP. Now, I already said it last week. It's the way Jonathan Taylor playing. He should be the one who wins it. I'm going to stand by that. But Matthew Stafford is playing lights out there for those Rams. Get your guys' thoughts on this one that Matthew has a winning overall record in his career and MVP aspirations. Who's you got? Let's start off with Ben on this one.
I mean, I still like Jonathan Taylor. I don't like the fact that the MVP has become essentially a quarterback award that you take away from guys that have stellar type season like Jonathan Taylor. But Matthew Stafford has never lacked talent, and he's never lacked winning ability. He just is playing for Detroit when they weren't the Dan Campbell Detroit Lions. They weren't that. And anytime, but he always gave them a shot because of how he played. Always. They didn't win a lot of games, but he always gave them a shot. And Matthew Stafford is a hell of a football player. 37 years old, still getting it done. He can throw the foot. Matthew Stafford is, what Phillip Rivers wanted to be, to win a Super Bowl, or Matt Ryan wanted to be, because they putting up them big time numbers. But I'm happy for Matthew Stafford, man. Former number 1 overall pick out of Georgia. I think he's from Texas. But what I appreciate the most about Matthew Stafford is Matthew Stafford pissing a lot of people off these days, because Matthew Stafford talking about things that have nothing to do with football, like growing up in a privileged neighborhood in Texas saying, hey, man, I ain't think this stuff was real. But it is real. I live in the same neighborhood as Jerry Jones. Like, God, don't you and Jerry Jones? Yeah. What? Yeah. I live in the same neighborhood. I grew up in the same neighborhood as Jerry Jones. What the hell? You know what I'm saying? But which Matthew Stafford seems to be a guy that knows, hey, man, I might be advocates of things that don't even affect me. I might be a voice for things that I've never felt, because sometimes I want to be willing to I've played not to make it a black or white thing. I played with a lot of great black athletes, and I've heard some stories from them. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? He goes, wait a minute. I see what you mean. So the play is one thing, the person is another thing. You seem to be a hell of a person, a teammate. But Matthew Stafford was going to be a Hall of Famer because of how he played. But when you start sticking your neck out for stuff that could bring some level of pain to you, which you ain't have to, I respect that 100%, man. Because Matthew Stafford don't got to do that stuff. And he pissed a lot of people off, especially people in his neighborhood, saying, what are you doing, man? I'm just telling the truth. Well, y'all still got, your chef and your nanny, and your life ain't gonna change one bit. Your environment ain't gonna change one bit. Jerry Jones still gonna be flying in on his private jet to land on top of his house later on tonight. It's fine. So I respect the player he is, but I respect the fact that even later on in his career, he's realizing that, hey man, let me throw my hat in and just speak up on some of my brethren that I play with. I might not fully understand what you go through and deal with, brother, but I can at least be a voice. So I respect that.
Marvin.
Again, you remember when Eli Manning's dad was campaigning for him to not go to San Diego? We found out Caleb's dad didn't want him to go to Chicago. I'm convinced that a lot of these guys are not busts. A lot of these guys just go to programs and go to organizations that aren't ready to develop them and to treat them the way they should as young players. Stafford went to the old school Lions, which is, the pre-Dan Campbell Lions. And they were trash. They had Megatron. I mean, they were trash. It was unbelievable how bad they were. You know what I'm saying? And you knew that Stafford was a good quarterback, but until you saw the quarterback whisperer trade for him and Sean McVay, and Stafford goes to LA, wins a championship, has looked great, minus some injuries. I mean, you realize, man, these organizations kill players more than anything else. It's unfortunate. And, his story, had he stayed in Detroit, he probably would have retired early, and he would have been a guy who retired with a losing record. You know what I mean? So I'm happy to see him in LA. Happy to see him balling. Happy to see him with a guy who can coach quarterbacks. And this is the tale of two cities, man. Or two organizations. An old trash one, which is now becoming better, and then the Rams, obviously, who've been first class.
Yeah, and speaking of trash, we gotta address this. It's very unfortunate, but more spitting this year. Obviously, we already dealt with it earlier this year with Jalen Carter and Dak Prescott, the first game of the year. But the fact that Jamar Chase has doubled down on this and basically said that he didn't spit on him. Now, what I'm pulling up is Mike Tomlin's comments on it when they asked him about it. He's like, I have no message. Someone spits in your face. Do what comes natural. And so that's him absolutely standing up for Jalen Ramsey. I do not blame Mike Tomlin for that comment. I applaud him for that. But Jamar Chase just showed us a side of him I don't think anyone wanted to see. And, now a lot of people were sitting here like, Jalen Ramsey's acting out again. No, he ain't acting out. You spit in my face. I'm surprised something crazier didn't happen. So, listen, I was hard on Jalen Carter for it. I'm going to be even harder on Jamar Chase for this. You are a top 2, top 3 wide receiver. You are the star of your city. Act like it. Like, seriously, I don't care what was said. You felt he got a little chippy after the play. Go say something to the referee. Sitting there spitting in the man's face. Are you out of your goddamn mind? Marvin, your thoughts on this one?
It's a coward move because, again, this is a sport where you can go out there and damn near kill somebody. This is a sport where you can go do some serious bodily harm, damage to somebody. You know what I mean? Especially at that level. And, there's opportunity for you to play out your frustration and show your frustration within the game without question. He's a receiver. You want to dog his ass when you have to stock block? Go out there and put his ass on the ground. He gonna feel that. He ain't gonna like that. He ain't gonna like that at all. Listen, when you playing football, receiver DB, and they locking up in a block situation, the receiver's blocking, you're using the same aggression you would use in a fight. You know what I mean? So this is intense. It's a very real, 4 to 5 seconds, whatever it may be. So for him to spit on that dude, it's a B move. It's a B move.
Yep.
But before we're football players, before we're Bengals and Jets and Saints, we're men. And that's what Mike Tomlin was saying. We men first. You know what I mean? There is, if you hit a quarterback late, and dirty, pull somebody's face mask, they can deal with that within the game. There are rules for that. They know how to deal with that aggression. But spitting on somebody, That's not tough. That's not gangster. That's not alpha. That's a B move. Straight up.
Yep.
That's my
take. I mean, look. I'm not gonna say what Jalen said about Jamar, but I feel the same. Think about when you spit. You spit stuff out that you don't want in your mouth. You spit on stuff. You spit on the ground. You know, like. And Jamar, look, let's stop doing this. Let's stop saying I love Jamar. No, F that. I don't care how much love you got for you. Spit on me, dude. Not the best, but okay. Jamar spits on Jalen. Jalen punches him, and people holding him. Cam Hayward walks up to Jalen. He's like, and you can tell Jalen he spit on me, and you can see Cam Hayward like what, and he just turned around because somebody spit on you, man. What? That means you think I'm beneath you. You know what I'm saying? You spit on stuff and step on you. You know, it's underneath your feet. Jamar Chase, let me tell you something, man. I don't care if you Jamar Chase, Jalen Carter, play with me. Spit on me. And then he got the nerve to say, if I was going to spit on him, I would have spit in his face. Who the hell you think you talking to, Jamar? I would have spit on. I'm going to tell you something. Sometimes players don't get like a Jamar Chase don't get. Hey, bro, you going to make life real bad for you when you come back. Them DBs, they coming for you, dude. They going to come for you. Because, number one, you disrespectful. Like Jalen Ramsey, don't like him, love the way he played. Like, he was right. And Mike Tomlin, that's the best sound, but I have nothing. Handle as you see fit. Yes, what Mike Tomlin's really saying, spit on me. That's what spit on me. And that's anybody, right? We have children. Yeah. Our children come home and say, Daddy, he spit on me. Whoa. You gonna stop. Wait. Come on now. Did he really spit on you? Yeah, we leaving right. I don't care where we go. We're on our way we going to him right now.
I think spitting.
No, we don't do that.
Spitting on us and talking about mama is in the same.
I'm just saying. Listen, you slap me, you spit on me. Spitting on you means you think you. I mean, you think you think you better than me. You think I'm like, all right.
It's a.
I mean, that is the circus. That is clown behavior. And Jalen Carter, look, I can still respect you as a player and don't like what you did, but. You said it right, man. I shouldn't have done it. Jamar, you know how many cameras on these fields, boy? You know how many cameras out there? How many? And forget that we got better slow motion cameras on our phones than some of these NFL cameras. Do these people like just so you can see it? They'll break that thing down to the millisecond. You wrong, Jamar. Mm-hmm. And you're gonna have to do some damage control because saying stuff like, "Hey, man, if I was gonna do, bro." Look to all y'all former receivers out there, you know, Chad Ocho and all Keyshawn, all y'all, discipline that youngin', man. Call him and tell him, hey, bro, we don't do that, man. I get it, the heat of the moment. Marvin, you played fullback, man. You and them linebackers, y'all used to get at it. Mm-hmm. Spit never came out your mouth. No. Man, listen, we come from the era where you couldn't even tell a dude I'm going to spit on you. That's enough to get you, what? I spit on you. And then somebody, man, he said you're gonna spit on me. Because I'm telling you, I believe this. If you wouldn't do something on the football field, you wouldn't do without the pads on, don't do it. You wouldn't spit on me out there. You ain't finna spit on me out there. You ain't finna spit on me out there in the life, right? Yeah, stop playing, Jamal. And look, DBs and receivers don't like each other. Linebackers and tight ends don't like each other. Defensive linemen and O-linemen don't like each other. Why ain't nobody spitting on each other? Because that's different, bro. I don't got to like him. I can hurt him during the play. If he spit on me, the game is over for me. The game is officially over for me. I'm getting kicked out. I don't want to lose a game check, but as soon as he go, the time I'm just telling you, man. Come on, man. We better than this. We better than this, man.
It's worse than slapping somebody. It's worse than punching somebody.
Yes,
it's way more disrespectful than that. Way more disrespectful.
I would if somebody got spit on. And just say you walk up on him and you grab him and he go, man, he spit on me. What? You gonna let that dude go? What? But what? You don't got to know either party. Number one, the only reason why Jalen even let them grab him because we on TV. Because if this ain't on TV, you can't grab me. Can't nobody grab me to keep me off him. And he better be Usain Bolt to get away from me. He better be that fast because I'm gonna catch you, bro. I'm trying to tell you, man. Don't do Jamal, I want to say you better than that youngin, but you're gonna have to come on, man. I don't care. I mean, he makes $500,000. I don't care what he make. He lucky he got one game. He should have got more than that, man.
Yeah.
One for the stint and two for the line.
He incited the situation. He incited it. So
yeah, man. Yeah.
But and now we're talking about the game being over, right? I want to bring this one up. Y'all realize after the Eagles win Saturday night that they are within two wins and an additional Cowboys loss to potentially locking this division up on Black Friday. That I don't remember the last time I seen a team.
It don't happen that much. It's very rare now. It used to. I played during the time of Peyton Manning and Reggie Wayne and Marvin. They used to lock up the AFC South like 2 or 3 games left. And I mean, y'all are dangerous, Steven, because y'all are doing it with defense. Most teams couldn't handle all this turmoil back and forth with AJ and the offense and all the kind. Most teams couldn't.
I want to get to that in a sec because I seen a tweet that is very telling, and I think that tells a little bit more. I already said I don't think the offensive line play has been up to snuff, and that's a reason why the running game's struggling and a bunch of other things. But I'm going to get to that one in a second. But the fact that they could potentially lock up the division in November, the last week in November, is amazing. But the one thing is the conference is still wide open. You still got the Rams. You still got the Seahawks. The Bears are hanging around in there. They're nowhere clear to locking the conference down. But being the first team since the early 2000 Eagles to go back to back as far as NFC East divisional winners is an impressive thing because it hasn't happened in 20 some odd years. So I wanted to mention that, but the AJ Brown thing. Hold on. So tweet comes out and we were talking about like we already know what's going on with the AJ Brown thing, right? And one of the things is this person believed that they think his numbers down is because he's physically starting to break down. His average yards per separation is down by nearly half for where he was last season. He's 1.7 yards separation is the worst in his career. We do see him win these go balls, but he's also struggling there to get open. We've seen the penalty call in the last play. He could not get away from Yasin at all. And AJ talked about last year getting his knee drained. He's had multiple hamstring problems. So a lot of people think that he may not be 100%. I do think the Eagles' route concepts at this point in time are extremely poor. I think they're very telling, and it's not helping AJ at all. But I think this lays out a good thing that we already know how tough it is to play in the NFL. Do we think physically there's a problem with AJ as why he's not getting open and potentially why he's not getting those looks? What are your thoughts on this one, Marvin? Then we'll go to bed.
Well, first of all, I mean, nowadays we have metrics that we didn't have before. Separation rate. That's like a new thing. You know what I mean? In my opinion. So and they do say a lot. They tell you a lot. He's a big receiver. He's a big guy. You know what I mean? And the reality is that big body, as the graphic it just showed, is starting to break down a little bit. You know what I mean? It's tough for those big guys to get out there and play with those little guys. Listen, I don't think the metrics are lying. I think there's a decline there, and it's showing up, and he's frustrated. You really don't know what injuries he has that he's not talking about, trying to fight through, whatever it may be. So yeah, it's realistic that this guy is going downhill health wise. That's all I can say about it, honestly.
Ben,
I think this is the Kellen Moore effect. I mean, Kellen Moore was an incredible play caller for you guys last year, and I think when you look at what AJ is a big body guy. Big body guys are going to do what? They're going to run go routes, they're going to run slants, they're going to run digs. That's what they're going to run. They're going to run out routes to the single man side of the field to try to get some separation, one-on-one, break a tackle. They're going to run go routes on one-on-one in favorable coverage. They're going to run slants because can't nobody keep you from crossing their face. They're going to run digs. You know who that sounded like towards the end of their career? Dez Bryant. That's all he ran. When he was at Dallas at the end, that's all he ran. Digs, slants, goes. Here's the thing about AJ Brown. AJ Brown needs to know, hey man, as your body gets older, you have to get smaller. You can't when you young, 22, when you younger, and he's only 28 years old, but he's 229, right? That's a big receiver. There are linebackers that's 229, 230.
Mhm.
And he carries it well, but you got to run all the time, which means you got to dig for everything. You ain't like Devonta Smith to where you slim and everything you do, you light on your feet because your body is light. You know, you people, man, you play like when people say you play light on your feet, that means you ain't light. I mean, you hold a little bit more. With AJ Brown, what makes him, teams have caught up, and teams are gonna catch up. Teams are going to catch up to what you do. Can you show us some new tricks? Because if you can't, these DBs are getting taller and more agile. Big body receivers, unless you Calvin Johnson, to where you just a physical monster and they can just throw it up to you. AJ Brown, you can do that too, but he don't got the speed Calvin Johnson did. He don't got the explosiveness that Julio Jones. I'm talking about guys his size, bigger guys. And sometimes it's just the reality of the situation, man. You're getting older. It's hard to get much better as you get older. He can do it. But I'm going to keep saying this. A.J. Brown wants to be a part of the winning, not just winning. He wants to be a part of it. And he'll say, I don't care about box scores. Yeah, you do. I don't care about fantasy owners. Why you respond? Yeah, you do. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I want him to earn his money. But sometimes, sometimes your best years might be behind you. Don't mean you ain't got some good years left now. Don't mean you ain't got some good ones left. It's just certain players really people say, I just want to win. Yeah. How do you want to win? I want to make sure I got over 100. Because Philly fans know what they're looking at. We know what we're looking at. And AJ, I don't think he's lost a step. It's just DBs are looking at, hey man, what did they really throw him? Like, what is he really running? Is he running deep overs? Is he running goals? Is he running digs? Is he running slants? Yeah, is he running outs? Devonta Smith can run it all.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? And I think for AJ.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think for AJ, listen, when you meet with the owner, not ownership, you met with the owner, you talking too much, man. You doing too much with your platform, but you got Philadelphia Eagles next to you. You work for us. You bringing too much attention. I don't know how many more years AJ is going to be in Philly, not because he's not a valuable piece, Steven, but I'm not dealing with no nonsense after 2025. I'm not dealing with talking about things that ain't football related.
I told you that he has a $40 million cap hit for next season. I think they're going to have to get through one more year of this before they can even potentially entertain the idea of trading him.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's a part of being a pro. Is accepting things you cannot control. Is learning how to be quiet when you don't want to, because there are diva receivers still left in the league, and there's nothing wrong with it. But how they deal with them, your production better match your diva attitude. As long as my production is high, my divaness can be high. But when my diva is high, production is low, that's not going to work, partner. And we paying you way too. Sometimes we paying you to shut up. Be quiet. We pay you that much money to be quiet. So
now, I know we're down to the last few minutes, but I wanted to get this one out here. Brandon Graham is already in full Dallas week mode. He was at the Sixers game. He was at the Sixers game this week with this hat. I think he is all in, ready for the matchup down there in Big D. We just talked about being the spotlight of things. Brandon Graham just knows how to do it right. That's all I'm gonna say about that one.
Gotta have fun, man. Listen, don't look back. Don't look back on your career and think that people gonna remember every game, every play, every yard, every sack. You better look back on and say, man, at a certain point, Brandon Graham could do no wrong. Y'all call me out of retirement. What?
Exactly.
Listen. Yeah. They might have to tell him to tone it down a little bit, but he having fun, man. I got two Super Bowls. I got my lemon. What is it? My tea, whatever the drink he got. He living life, man. He's living life.
I love BG, love the energy he brings. I had to bring that one up there. It's Dallas week here in Philadelphia. There's never not going to be a time we see this. We're down to the last minute. So final thoughts, Ben. Final thoughts, Marvin.
Final thoughts. Saturday, 3:30 CBS. Get ready to watch them USC Trojans go into Autzen Stadium and upset the Eugene Ducks. We 10-point underdogs, but that's why you play the game, baby. You know what I'm saying? Get ready for this. This is going to be an upset. I'm calling it right now. I'm not being emotional. I know y'all think, I could be a little biased just because it is in my heart, but still, I can be objective. I'm feeling it.
Ben, final thought.
Man, just always a pleasure to be on with y'all. I mean, Steven, Marvin. You as a former player, being able to have platforms like this, man, it does a lot for my heart, a lot for my spirit, a lot for my mental health. So I appreciate being on here. And God willing, we'll be back next week.
We will be back next week. Last few seconds. So peace out, my friends. We'll see you guys